Hi, this is Nana, and in today's video I'd like to show you how easy it was to build that sequence that took you from email into another email, which then started up this sequence of trainings that I have prepared for you. So let's take a look at what that funnel looks like structurally, and then we'll look at the actual funnel itself and take a look at all the different pieces and how they were put together. So if you remember, I sent you an email, and in that email there was a link. If you click that link, you would have been sent to a lead link, and this is a service from a company called Leadpages. That lead link would automatically plug your information into a new email list. It's a new email. After that happened, this all happened in the back end, you would then forward it to a thank you page. That thank you page was also generated with the Leadpages software, so that's here. On that thank you page, I set a cookie, a retargeting cookie, which is here. And the company I used for that was Perfect Audience. And then finally, if you click that link, you went to the Prosper202 download page, which is here. And the wonderful thing about all of this was that all of this was done without any coding at all. There are tools and services that I use that allowed me to quickly create this whole sequence, and I did not have to write a single line of code. What I didn't mention was that this link here that was clicked was powered by Prosper202, and I'll show you some of the changes that I made to make it easier to create this sequence that fed data into the lead link. So we've taken a look at everything as a brief overview. Let's switch to the actual campaign itself and the different pieces and how that was all put together. Okay, so here's the first step of that sequence. You received an email with this link, which you could then click on. The email service that I'm using is MailChimp, so when you click this, it automatically put you into a new list that I generated in MailChimp. When you click that link, stuff happened in the background, and then you ended up on this page. On this page, a cookie was dropped for my Perfect Audience retargeting segment, and then when you clicked on this link, you would end up here on the Prosper202, and this would then allow you to download Prosper202 if you didn't have it. On the back end, inside of Perfect Audience, I created a new segment. I called it an advanced link, and I didn't have any duration to it. I made it an email tracking targeting type, which would then give me a pixel, which made it much easier to drop that pixel inside of Leadpages. So let's take a look at Prosper, Leadpages, and how that was set up in the background. So let's look at Leadpages first. The first thing that I did was create a lead page, and this page was basically the landing page where you would end up on after you click the link, which would then let you know that you have been added to the list and you're ready to receive new information as the sequence progressed. The only different thing that I did here, Leadpages is pretty simple. It's drag and drop. The retargeting pixel was placed in the section called tracking code. And here in the end of body tracking code, I placed the Perfect Audience pixel over here. And that was generated after I created this new segment. Remember, I made an email, so it created an image pixel, which allowed me to just copy and paste that pixel here. So that step was pretty simple. Once I created this and saved it, it gave me a URL, and that allowed me to create a lead link. So I use that new URL as my thank you page for the lead link. And a lead link is basically a dynamic URL which allows Leadpages to plug new users into any email list that you set up using APIs. You don't have to do any coding at all. They take care of everything in the background. As long as you can pass in data, they'll be able to push that data into new email lists and segments for you. So let's take a look at what we have. I created a new list. I called it Advanced Users, and I selected MailChimp as my provider, so it created this tracking link for me here. The cool thing about Leadpages is that it works with a lot of different email service providers. So you see that long list here, and it's very likely that you're working with one of these companies, which will allow you to pass data into that company's email list with a click. This link is what we need to enter into Prosper202, but I made a few modifications to that. So let's take a look. So here we are. I've pasted 3 different links in here. This link is the original link that Leadpages generated. So you see that there's spots for 3 tokens that were specific to MailChimp. There's the email token, the first name token, and the last name token, and these are specific to MailChimp. What I did was replace these tokens with Prosper202 tokens. So email was replaced with the C1 token, first name was replaced with C2, and last name was replaced with C3. And the reason for that is that now I have a dynamic link, and I can pass in any kind of value in here without hard coding it, and to allow me to generate a link of this nature. So when I created my Prosper202 direct link for C1, I set it to email. And what happens here is Prosper will read this value and grab it and put it into the C1 spot, so it turns into this. Same thing with C2, grab this value, which is the token from MailChimp, find that C2 token spot for Prosper, and then convert it into this. And lastly, last name, C3, which converts into this link here. And finally, I added a keyword to it. I usually like to track my email by the date that I sent it. So I sent this on the 29th. And so you see May 29th, 2014 is encoded in the keyword here. So let's take a look at Prosper and how that worked out. So you see I have an internal campaign. I called it Advanced. And here's the campaign URL as I formatted earlier, with the hard-coded tokens replaced with Prosper202 tokens, and which means that when I create the link in step 7, I can just pass in the actual tokens and it will replace these with the MailChimp tokens. And this makes it flexible, where I can take the tracking link from the tracking link that I generated, and take it to any email service provider, just pass in their tokens, and I wouldn't have to recreate this lead link here. So altogether, we have Leadpages for the landing page, so no coding there. I have the lead link that takes data from a click and passes it into any email list that I want. I have my perfect audience pixel, which I place under retargeting, which lets me know everyone that has opted in to this advanced list. And so I can use that as a burn pixel for retargeting, because I have my general retargeting as well, which is basically everyone who's on the Tracking 202 newsletter. So from now on, I can also do a campaign that takes people straight from Facebook or the web into the same segment, and I would be able to effectively advertise because anyone who's already on the list would be excluded and not be shown the ad. And then everyone who's on this list can start receiving other customized ads that are related to different things with the training that I have scheduled up in the autoresponder sequence. So that's what made it so simple to have a link in an email that's clicked on that automatically put you into a new segment and then started you off on this sequence. And all of this was done very quickly without depending on any code or any technical knowledge except being able to point and click and copy and paste from different services. As you have noticed, my main emphasis on this training sequence is to be able to allow you to do a lot of the advanced stuff that you see being done that you may not be doing because you feel like you need a developer or a coder to implement. And you'll see that with some of these simple things, you'll be able to effectively improve the quality of your advertising by just being able to understand your user base and provide them with the kind of information that they're looking for instead of doing a mass blast of general information that may not provide as much value as possible. So hopefully you got a lot of value out of this first video. Over the next few days, I'll be showing you more cool stuff that you can do with your marketing, and most of it to almost all of it would be able to be done just by anyone who can follow instructions and copy and paste and not know how to code a single line of any programming language. All right, thank you. And if you have any questions or feedback, please remember to drop them in the comment section or by email. All right, thanks a lot.